like next on the list, how do you say it? Matisse. Matthias. For the piano piece.
So.
Is the piano up and going?
Over there.
Is it turned on? Oh yeah, we have share.
There's a power button on the top.
There's a power button on the top.
Where's your sound now?
And it doesn't have a pedal, so you have to hold it a little bit.
So now this is where I think Tamika's still here. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Tamika and Noah, story time.
Mr. Brown can moo, can you? Oh, the wonderful things Mr. Brown can do. He can go like a cow. He can go moo, moo. Mr. Brown can do it. How about you? Moo. Moo, moo. He can go like a bee. Mr. Brown can buzz. How about you? Can you go buzz, buzz? He can go like a cork. Pop. He can go like horse feet. Clop, clop, clop. He can go eek, eek. Like a squeaky shoe. He can go like a rooster. Cock-a-doodle-doo. He can go like an owl. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Eek, eek. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Hoo, hoo, hoo. How about you? He can go like the rain. Dibble, 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 dop. Dibble, 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 dop, dop. He can go like a train. Choo, 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 choo. All the wonderful things Mr. Brown can do. Moo, moo. Buzz, buzz. Pop, pop. Eek, eek. Hoo, hoo. Plop, plop. Dibble, dibble. Dop, dop. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Mr. Brown can do it. How about you? Hudson, do you want to do it with us too? You're making the sounds better than that. Sit down. Here we go. Mr. Brown can whisper, whisper. Very soft, very high. Like the soft, soft whisper of a butterfly. Maybe you can too. I think you ought to try. Whisper, whisper. He can go like a horn. Blurp, blurp, blurp. Like a big cat drinking. Slurp, slurp, slurp. He can go like a clock. He can tick. He can talk. He can go like a hand on a door. Knock, knock, knock. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Knock, knock, knock. Yeah. Oh, the wonderful things Mr. Brown can do. Blurp, blurp. Slurp, slurp. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Knock, knock, knock. And can do that too. Like an egg in a frying pan. How about you? Yeah, it's an egg. Mr. Brown is smart as they come. He can do a hippopotamus chewing gum. Grum, grum, grum. Mr. Brown is so smart, he can even do this. He can even make a noise like a goldfish kiss. Boom, boom, boom. Mr. Brown is a wonder. Boom, boom, boom. Mr. Brown makes thunder. He makes lightning. Splat, splat, splat. It's very, very hard to make a sound like that. Oh, the wonderful things Mr. Brown can do. Moo moo, buzz buzz, pop pop, eek eek, hoo hoo, clop clop, dibble dibble dop dop, cock-a-doodle doo, grum grum, choo choo, boom boom, splat splat, tick tick tock, sizzle sizzle blurp blurp, and a knock knock knock. A slurp and a whisper, and a fish kiss too. Mr. Brown can do it. How about you?
Next, knee replacement skit.
Just wanted to mention, first of all, some people need to get their knees, their parts in their knees changed out. And I was going to talk about some of the actual costs for those things, but I'll also give you some other options because sometimes these things can be pretty expensive. And I understand in the United States, some people pay anywhere from $50,000 to $70,000 for having 2 pieces of parts changed out in their knees. And I'm just going to share a little bit about some places in the world where the costs vary a bit, but also give you some down-home practical ideas of maybe not having to go that far away to save some money. But just looking, for example, in Costa Rica, for example, it's running around $12,500 to get your knee part replaced. And you can go into Colombia, they have a special for $7,200. Sometimes in India, you can get it done for $6,600. Keep in mind, in the United States, there's about 600,000 knee replacement operations per year. But India has more practice. They're having anywhere from 1 million to 1.5 million knee replacement operations every single year. So they get a little more practice there. That's why they get a lower price for the volume, I think. Also, for example, in South Korea, you can get it done for about $17,500 US. In Mexico, there's a place down in Mexicali that advertises $12,009 that you can get it done. And they say their hospital's only 300, no, wait, is it? It's only 100 meters from the United States border. And I think that's, what, Mexicali? And let's see, what's the U.S. side? What's it?
Calexico.
Calexico is on the U.S. side, and you can just drive for just a minute or two across the border to Mexicali and have it done for $12,009. And I also have seen another nice brochure of being able to do stuff like this in, well, it's a nice one I heard about in Thailand, where you can go with 5 of your friends, have a 2-week extended vacation after having your knee replacement operation on both knees done there in Thailand. They'll meet you, have a concierge service meet you at the airport in a limo, and you go into a hospital room, it's like a 5-star hotel, and then you can travel with 5 of your friends for 2 weeks in Thailand, seeing all the places you wanted to see, and your total bill is about the same as having it just by your lonesome in the United States. So you might want to consider that. But there's also another option in Warsaw, Poland. They have a special for $12,003 right now, and you can have the royal treatment in Warsaw, Poland as well. But even though some of those prices are extra cheap maybe, or extra expensive depending on which country, sometimes people don't want to have to go far from home to be able to get some options for fixing their knees. And in this country, your parts in the typical medical supply tends to run anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 for the spare parts in each knee, depending on which vendor you deal with. But sometimes you want to have even lower prices yet, so that, for example, if you go to the building sites around Wenatchee and you find a contractor that's had a slow day, you can find some roofers or some carpenters that can probably underbid those medical costs. And we wanted to show you a few samples of what you might be able to do on that score. And these are not the exhaustive one. There's some other choices too that you can undercut even the guys that do this in Colombo or maybe even Warsaw. You might even be able to undercut in some of the hospitals in Moscow, Russia. Undercut these guys that are even in India, sometimes by half. But these are a few of the options. Let me turn this chair around. Sometimes people have knees that are just kind of falling apart and they're not supported that much. So what we sometimes will do is we'll just put a little extension things on the sides of their knees, and sometimes we can make do by just put little extra clamps on them. So we just kind of clamp these things on here and hold them on, and that gives them a little more knee support. But sometimes that's not quite enough, and sometimes you need to use some other things, such as, well, it gets a little bit scary sometimes for some people, but sometimes you need to actually try to take a little part off and use a little saw. And sometimes the saw blade is the leg's a little too big around. Maybe they're way overweight endowed or something, and so you need a little bigger blade than that. So you have sometimes the spare blades that you need to get out like this for some of the bigger, more well-endowed legs. And then there's just a couple other things. Sometimes people say they need to have some new screws put in their knee places, so that if you need to actually cut this thing apart a little bit, sometimes you need to have some new eye hooks. And what you do is you just kind of wring out a little bit on each side, and after you kind of hold the knee parts. It's kind of hard to say this because it's kind of, you might lose your supper. But you kind of separate the knee parts a bit, and you take one of these screws on each side, and you put one on each side, just kind of twisting them down. Sometimes they twist kind of easy, and you can make do without too much problem with maybe a small wrench like this, just to tighten those little screws in there each direction. But once in a while they need a little extra incentive, and that's where you get a little bigger wrench out to use a little more incentive on twisting those screws in there. And one thing I did forget to bring in though, some years ago, I was rolling around the floor in my living room. My kids said I was needing a stick in my mouth because I had a little bit of a pain, and I had a tooth that was split in my mouth. But the good thing about it is, I got some medicine, I think it was called Vicodin or something of that sort. And it says take one every 4 hours if you can't handle chewing on a stick that long. And I saved some of those. I've got some of them that expired in 2005 in my home. And it says take one every 4 hours. But sometimes when you use these kind of screws, maybe you might need to take one every 5 minutes. And to give you an extra better deal though, this thing that I got only had like 20 or 30 pills in it. For this type of thing, it's probably better to get a 5-pound can of them. There's just a couple of other things. I don't want to talk too long, but there's different options. Is after you put some of these things in there, sometimes there's some deluxe options that I haven't shown you. And instead of just having a couple of eye hooks, sometimes what you can do with those eye hooks, then you can get some baling wire and kind of hook them together. That way, people say, I have a problem with mobility. Well, I can assure you, if you have two eye hooks with a little baling wire between them, you'll have no problem with being mobile. You will move very fast, and you won't be immobilized. But on the other hand, if you want a more deluxe hinge, we have some of the Carpenter's special. When you're changing out doors, you can just collect a few of those spare hinges, and you just kind of screw one on the upper and one on the lower part of the knee. That's if you want to supplement your support on your knee, and that's one way. And then, once in a while, you need to actually have a very decorative appeal, so you can use some duct tape and tape around some extra supports on your knee. And that's not all, but sometimes you can actually have a need to just kind of use some internal, sometimes you don't want to have too much visible on the outside, so you can just kind of use a rivet gun and just drill a little hole inside and then kind of rivet things together that way. Those rivets are supposed to last a lifetime, but it means that your lifetime is only going to be another 6 months, but it will last your lifetime. And once in a while, you get some extra wire sticking out of your knee replacement deal, and you just kind of clip off the extra parts. And then, on the other hand, some people say, I don't want a wimpy little eye screw, but I want a little more beefy structure. So then we come with a little bit more expensive option that you can have. You can snag these off of places like near power poles. They're using these to anchor the extra power poles, and they're in the concrete. But you can just get these sometimes for free looking around town, and these are guaranteed to last twice your lifetime. Once you get them in there, and you probably will need to have the 5-pound can of Vicodin for these once they're in there. And then sometimes you need to hold the wound together for a little while. So that's where these stainless steel straps come in, and you just put them around the different upper and the lower parts you had work done on. And if you get 2 or 3 of these on there, these are guaranteed to last past your lifetime as well, which is expected to last, I suppose, at least 3 or 4 months. That's kind of all kind of about the end of it, or about the end of it. But keep in mind that these options, you can probably, on a good day, get them for $200 to $500 per knee, and your patients are bound to be quite mobile because they will probably run from you when you talk about it. But anyhow, those are some of the options. If you don't want to spend $12,000, $13,000, $15,000, you can have it. Or $40,000, or whatever. The local contractors will probably be able to come over and get you all back in shape at under $1,000. But those are some different options. Thank you for your attention.
Anyone besides me glad he didn't call his dad into the medical profession? Although I think I would have had him write my prescriptions. Okay. Next we've got Maureen with her Crazy Ride.
Very well with my right hand because I'm left-handed, and so if I write like most people write with their right hand, now you can't read it near as good as I can write backwards with my left hand or upside down with my left hand. So don't fuss about how it looks with my right hand. See how it looks backwards.
It's supposed to look crazy. That's what it says.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I found this out one day that I could write backwards and forwards. I didn't practice it. I hadn't thought about that because it's not very popular, but it was kind of fun. And so I've continued to do a little bit of that. So they're going to help me. They're going to hold this up. And you really can't see the backwards writing because I can't turn it around and put it up to the light and show you'll have to just trust me that it works if you turn it around. I'd like to have it thinner so you can really turn it around. But first of all, I'll just write backwards with this hand. I don't know what you want me to write, but anyway. Yes. You want me to write Maureen?
How about supercalifragilistic?
Super what?
Califragilistic.
Yes, you
That looks like the writing she did.
are.
Callie.
How do you spell Callie?
C-A-L-A.
C-A-L-A.
Fragia.
Fragia. F-R-A. What?
J.
J.
A. L-I-S. T-I-C.
I-S. P-I-C.
T-I-C.
P-I-C.
T. I can call.
Oh, I need a T here. Okay. I see.
X-P.
X. P-I.
Alidocious. If you can spell
Or, anyway,
How about abundant life, Seventh Day Adventist?
okay. Abundant, B-U-N, D-A-N-T, life. S-E-A, let's see, S-E-A, church. Decided to write with both hands, one forward and one backward. You can't see it because I have to stand here.
Can you kneel down and do it better?
Maybe.
Now is the time.
I'm not used to writing with my right hand. Put a period there.
She tried it one day. I looked in the mirror. She could read it in the mirror on the other side. So
So somebody has a mirror, you can read that stuff. I should have tried it one time many years ago.
And now she can do it without thinking.
Yeah. And she's also got shorthand for all of you.
So the more they have students,
Yeah.
not only they know,
Yeah. Right.
so the peer instead of doing this, she do it that.
Yep.
So I did that backwards. That's an E. I made it.
So she should be able to speak the word.
She can do things like different things.
Because my sister, and she could.
It's kind of fun.
Oh yeah.
Word totally.
Yeah.
Isn't it Leonardo da Vinci that wrote his signature upside down backwards? Leonardo da Vinci did that.
Oh, is that right?
I think so, yeah, he wrote backwards.
See, you all see it now.
Now is the time.
Backwards. People on come here. Now is the time. Maureen, see.
Okay, next up, Oompa Loompa.
Oompa loompa, loompa-dee-doo. We've got a secret for you. Oompa loompa, loompa-dee-doo. We've got a secret for you. I'm gonna be a big sister.
Mayor's an old age.
Can you give us just a minute? We would have come in costume, but we had some problems this afternoon, so give us just a minute.
So does everybody understand that Oompa Loompa?
Yes?
We did, I just explained.
I think a lot of people maybe figured with how Susan's been acting. So, congratulations, we're excited.
It was a big surprise.
No, you think of soap operas. You can spend 3 weeks on a 1 hour party.
When are you due, Susan?
September 9th. I've been trying to cover up this whole time. Then I can take off my jacket.
Let it out.
What?
Thank you.
It's kind of hard to read.
Old age is not for everyone. This denture I can never wear. No, not for you to hear. Now, one thing that happens when you get to old age is things start to grow. First of all, your ears start to grow. And sometimes only one side grows. All right? Other times you get hair grow in places that didn't have hair. All right, do I have the hair still? Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, very good. Very good. So, and your nose, it tends to get bigger, right? Right? And on the end of your nose, sometimes you even have a wart. Right? And so, let's see. I would like Abigail to come up and feel my wart. Okay, you have to fix it. Okay, we'll let Christian come up and feel my wart. Now, Christian, I have had a little drippy nose. So just wait a minute. I want to clean it for you real good, okay? Okay, I'm going to clean it for you. Okay, now you can feel it. Yes, very good. Thank you. Okay, will the eyebrows move? Okay. Anyway, the idea is that these are supposed to work. Now, I'm going to have Ma here tell you a story about when you're old, okay? Ma, go ahead.
Okay, I'll see if I can read through here. And this is a bad thing to have on when your nose is itchy. Okay, it says 3 old ladies met on the street on a very stormy day. The wind was so strong and loud that they had difficulty in hearing each other. "It's windy," said one. "No, it's thirsty," said the other. So am I, said the third. Thursday. Okay, let's go and have some tea, and then we won't worry about all these things.
Now one day, I I went to Taco Bell. And they said $5.37 is what I had to pay. All right. That's what the kid behind the counter said to me. So I dug into my pocket and I pulled out some lint and 2 dimes and something that used to be a Jolly Rancher. Having already handed the kid a 5 spot, $5, I started to head back to the truck to grab some change when the kid with the Elmo hairdo said the hardest thing anyone has ever said to me. He said, "It's okay, I'll just give you the senior discount." Well, I turned to see who was talking to. I turned to see who he was talking to, and then I heard the sound of change hitting the counter in front of me. "Only $4.68, he said cheerfully. I stood there stupefied. I'm 55, not even 60 yet, a mere child. Senior citizen? You've got to be kidding. I took my burrito and walked out to the truck, wondering what was wrong with Elmo. Was he blind? As I sat in the truck, my blood began to boil. Old? Me? I'll show him, I thought. I opened the door and headed back inside. I strode to the counter, and there he was waiting with a smile. Before I could say a word, he held up something and jingled it in front of me, like I could be that easily distracted. What am I now? A toddler? Dude, you can't get too far without your car keys, can you? I stared with utter disdain at the keys. I began to rationalize in my mind. Leaving keys behind hardly makes a man elderly, right? It could happen to anyone. I turned and headed back to the truck. I slipped the key into the ignition, but it wouldn't turn. What now? I checked my keys and tried another. Still nothing. That's when I noticed the purple beads hanging from the rearview mirror. I had no purple beads hanging from my rearview mirror. Then a few other objects came into focus. It was hard to focus with these glasses. The car seat in the back seat, Happy Meal toys spread all over the floorboard, a partially eaten donut on the dashboard. Faster than you can say ginkgo biloba, I flew out of the alien vehicle. Moments later, I was speeding out. Oh, my eyebrows are coming down. I was speeding out of the parking lot, relieved to finally be leaving this nightmarish stop in my life. That's when I felt it, deep in the bowels of my stomach. Hunger. My stomach growled and churned, and I reached to grab my burrito. Only it was nowhere to be found. I swung the truck around, gathered my courage, and strode back into the restaurant one final time. There Elmo stood, draped in youth and black nail polish. All I could think was, what is this world coming to? All that I could say was, did I leave my food and drink in here? At this point, I was ready to ask a Boy Scout to help me back to my vehicle, and then go straight home and apply for Social Security. Elmo had no clue. I walked back to the truck, and suddenly a young lad came up and tugged at my jeans to get my attention. He was holding a drink and a bag. His mother explained, "I think you left this in my truck by mistake." I took the food and drink from the little boy and sheepishly apologized. She offered these kind words, "It's okay, my grandfather does stuff like this all the time." All of this is to explain how I got a ticket doing 85 in a 40. Yes, I was racing some punk kid in a Toyota Prius. And no, I told the officer, I'm not too old to be driving this fast. As I walked to the front door, my wife met me halfway down the hall. I handed her a bag of cold food and a $300 speeding ticket. I promptly sat down in my rocking chair and covered up my legs with the blankie. The good news was I had successfully found my way home.
Stephen, where have you been in your medicine life?
I have a few medical people in my family, and they say that maybe I should tell some jokes on non-medical things, but I have fun with telling medical things. And this first one is bad eating habits. A mother complained to her consultant about her daughter's strange eating habits. All day long she lies in bed and eats yeast and car wax. What will happen to her? Well, the consultant says after thinking, eventually she will rise and shine. Healthy living tips. The question, does an apple a day keep the doctor away? Answer, only if you aim it well enough. What type is the best type of doctor? The best type of doctor in the world is the veterinarian. He can't ask his patients what is the matter. He's just got to know. Wilbot Rogers. What a spectacle. Did you hear about the optometrist that fell into his lens grinding machine? It made a spectacle of himself. There's a duck hunting adventure with some different types of doctors, and I might not say all their type of degrees exactly correct, but it's a group of doctors out there hunting. And it says, a group of physicians are duck hunting. The general surgeon spots a duck flying from the marsh, aims his rifle and shoots the duck in one shot and turns to the others and says, I just shot myself a duck. The internist sees a duck, aims his rifle, leads the duck with his first shot, trails it with his next shot, and hits it with his third. He turns to the group and says, it was too small for a condor, too big for a sparrow. I think it was probably a duck. Radiologist sees a duck, aims a shotgun, hits the duck, and turns to the group and states, I just hit a flying animal. It may be a duck, pheasant, or a quail, possibly a flying squirrel. Genetics good, pterodactyl. At this point, I think I should shoot it again, but with a scoped rifle next time. And an ER physician spots a duck flying in the marsh and aims it. Huge automatic combat shotgun, unloading 2 full magazines into the air as the other physicians take cover behind him. After the tremendous noise ceases, the intern uncovers his ears and shouts, what the blankety blank was that? The emergency physician turns around and says, I have no idea, but I'm sure I hit it. Another one is why a doctor gave up his medical practice to pursue another dream, his real dream. A proctologist, that's the behind doctor, had been in practice for 20 years and had settled into a very comfortable life with his future very secure. So he decided to fulfill his real dream and become an auto mechanic. Having entered mechanic school, the former physician received the results of his first test back with a score of 200%. Confused, he asked the teacher why his score was so high. Well, said the teacher, the first part was taking the engine apart, and you did that perfectly, so you got 50%. The second was, you put it together again and you did it perfectly. That was another 50%. The other 100% was doing it through the tailpipe. And the next one, just a couple of things that were from doctors' notes. Sometimes the doctors were sleepy when these were being made, but here it says, in one of these notes, it says the patient has left her white blood cells at another hospital. Patient has chest pain if she lies on her back for over a year. On the second day, the knee was better. On the third day, it disappeared. The patient has been depressed since she began seeing me in 1993. Discharge status alive, but without permission. Skin somewhat pale, but present. Patient has 2 teenage children, but no other abnormalities. The patient refused autopsy.
she is numb from her toes down. She stated that she had been constipated for most of her life until she got a divorce.
Next up, we have Ramon Redeem.
This has got the Garlic Show. Please refrain from throwing any tomatoes.
Walking and chewing gum.
That was great to stay in the track, you know, the road to blowing the thing, VOT, not able to hear the guitar coming out. That's why I have to play the down.
That's good. Not easy. I'll do that.
Well, I don't think I'm gonna win, but
Good job.
George starts out with a blank canvas. I taped masking tape his name.
Are we gonna auction this off after?
This is a PBS story, PBS program.
So if you keep painting it, and you paint over the tape, you're able to peel the tape off and magically his name appears. It's okay. Here, keep painting. He would get mad if I helped him with his masterpiece. Musical. We'll have to wait for it. Okay. When it dries, I will show you. Show us at the end. Your future painters.
Well, before I read this poem, I just want you to know that I do have a 70s shirt on. This is really true. This shirt was made in about 1977 by a patient of mine. And it was custom made, and you can tell if you want to look in the label. And I picked out the cloth. I don't remember what store, but it was in Boise, Idaho. That was shortly after Maureen and family and I came back from Sierra Leone, West Africa. And my belt buckle I got as a gift from the first bank that we did business with down there. I think it's called Idaho First National Bank on the back side of it. And it's a collector's edition belt buckle.
Are you auctioning it off?
Well, and this sweater was a gift, I think. I don't remember who gave it to me, but I think that 70s vintage. Okay, this is for real. This poem was given to Maureen and me both at our wedding reception in August 1958. And this was the second reception. We had our wedding in College Place, but this was a reception in Boise, Idaho area, or Eagle, where I grew up. And it was at the end of our honeymoon. So this is a true story. True poem, you know. And I wish somebody had written or signed it, because I don't remember who wrote this for us.
There were several people that wrote parts of the poem.
Oh, several people, okay. There was a girl named Maureen. She was dressed in a beautiful green. Hal made her his charming queen. There was a guy named Hal who married a pretty gal. And just as she wishes, he washes the dishes. Now how is that for a pal? There was a young man named Hal.
and a girl worrying just a pal. Said Hal to worrying, it's plain to be seen, our love we can no longer hide. So thick they got that they soon did trot to the tune of Here Comes the Bride. There was a young man from McCall who out from a plane has to fall. But he fell hard one day in a different way. Now it's Hal and Maureen, that's all. Just a side note there. This green reminds me of the Forest Service that I was working for then, and I was a smoke jumper in McCall, Idaho. That was the second year that I had done smoke jumping for the Forest Service. Now, just a couple more phrases over there. There was a young lady quite wise who had what you'd call laughing eyes. She laughed, she sang till the wedding bells rang. Now each day she cooks up a surprise. There is a young man we call Hal, whom I think you all know very well. For years we all thought 'twas for knowledge he sought, but returns from his school with a well-chosen jewel. Be a couple who is the exception, not the rule.
Now more poetry by
No. That was the poem we read today.
Okay, now, I'm sorry. Clayton Williams is going to do a piano piece for us.
Okay.
Camel racing?
Oh, yes.
We've all been looking forward to this one.
Yeah. Well, you all know about camel fights, right? You grow up, you get somebody on your shoulders, and it's like a king of the hill thing, and whoever the last one standing is, that's who wins. But fighting is bad. But camel stuff is good. So I just have to set up the course here. Now I spoke to you about helping me, some of these people, because after all, you can't race if there's just one. So I need Jonathan to choose a young person, and Luke and Mateus, anybody who wants to play Bebu camel racing can play. We're going to set up the course. I have somebody that is going to help me, and you have to have an adult help you. You have to be on their shoulders. Now, just to make sure that it's baby camel racing, you have to do things really small scale, you know. So there we have our little tiny balance beam, and this is the height of the jump. It's good. Okay, and then we have to.
What are we doing?
You need.
That one.
Jonathan, put somebody on your shoulders and show them how it's supposed to be. Okay. Here's the pylon at the end of the course. Okay. You have to go around there. All right. Now, we gotta have spoons. Where's the spoons at, dude? Couple plastic spoons. Yeah. Okay. So, how many baby camel races are we going to have?
You have to have someone on your shoulders.
So far, Jonathan's the only one that's qualified. Okay. The person on the top has to carry that through the race and not drop it. You can't drop that. Okay, Luke, who are you?
Matthias, that's your daddy.
All right, here you go. Here's your spoon. Here's a little piece. You can't drop it. Okay, Matthias. Here you go. There you go. All right. All right. Okay, you do that?
No, Jonathan, that's your heavy. Jonathan.
Hold this. Now, I have anybody else? Looks like that's it. Oh no, I have somebody that I'm doing with it. They're just running a little bit late. Yeah. I just set up this door so you can get going. I think that they're just driving up. I have to.
Wow, you're strong.
Come here. Hello? Oh, you're here. Good. Okay, good. I'll show you. Okay. I'll okay. I'll show them how to get here, and then we'll race. Okay.
You're gonna sit on my shoulders. That's all.
Are you sure?
What are we doing?
She'll be here in a minute.
Wait, can we quit if we want?
That's a one-way trip.
If she starts to fall, go down to the floor.
That's it. That's too much.
Is she too heavy?
Okay. Now, have one thing. June, where's the tape? He only agreed to race with me if it was a challenge. And frankly, all you are in a challenge. So this is the world's strongest baby. So he only agreed to do this. If he was blind. Okay. But since all of you are so bigger and he's carrying big me, he gets a 2-foot head start. Okay. Now we go around the course. Anybody falls off or makes the jump thing fall over is disqualified. And you go down around the chair and back here, and whoever finishes first wins.
Without dropping your cookie out of your spoon.
That's right, you can't drop the cookie out of your spoon.
You don't have a spoon.
Well, I guess we'll lose it. Okay, more cookies and more spoons.
2 more.
Take the spoon.
There you go. Okay, bring me a cookie and a spoon. This is getting heavy. Not as big. All right. Good. Are we good? All right. Does everybody have their spoon? Okay. As soon as the final baby mounts the camel, we need the audience to do a countdown. Okay. You ready?
3, 2, 1, go!
Well, thank you to all of you losers.
Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Here's Hudson's masterpiece.
Okay, last but not least. Jenny doing glass from the past.
Okay, you found me out. All right. This is the world's strongest baby.
Is that you, Hudson? There you are, Hudson. Yay.
That's you. Licorice. Might be stuck.
Last one on the program, so give everybody a hand. And for ourselves, for the stage, the very
bid on an item tonight and write a check or cash to Abundant Life and give it to Stephen. And the total was $487. So if you add that to our matching fund, that's $974. Cards that you can buy $10 or $5. If you go for pizza, get some money. Thank you and for coming to our 6th annual talent night.
Talent and variety show. Welcome to the 6th annual, the Abundant Life 6th annual talent night and variety show. Glad to have you here. I probably look as ridiculous as I feel. You know, the 70s really was my era, and Dick's era. Dorothy was telling me that them two could have just gone to their closet. Dick still has the suit with the platform shoes. You know, you could, in the 70s, you could either go hippie, or you could do the John Travolta Saturday Night Fever with the
Polyester suit.
Polyester suit. Yeah, they were right in there. I quit getting a haircut in 1970. And for 5 years, I got my first haircut when the post office offered me a promotion. They said, legally, we can't ask you to cut your hair, but you have a better chance of getting this promotion if you do. By then, my hair was past my belt. I was more discriminated against when it was getting there, because when it was shoulder length, yeah, I got pulled over a lot by the police. Actually, one time I drove from Loma Linda to San Diego. Well, we went to Tijuana to go shopping. And my mom, my aunt, Andy, my sister in the car, 90 miles, drove down there. I get there and the Mexican border guy wouldn't let me cross over. They had problems with hippies and buying drugs down there. And so we turned around. They put a woman's scarf on me, big glasses, a woman's sweater, a little woman's watch, and the only other guy in the car was my little nephew, little kid. Put him on my lap, and I sat in the back seat, and we drove right through the very same guy's line, and they let us through. So then when we parked, you know, I'm getting out, taking the scarf off, and Mom's like, what are you doing? You know, you have to stay out. That's not gonna happen.
So when he first started like wearing women's clothing.
That was a one-time thing. Anyway, yeah, I wasn't a hippie. I had long hair, and I think I identified more with the surfer crowd. But hair was the thing. Anyway, we have prizes for the best 70s costume, and Danny take over with that.
All right, I need all of the kids that participated in the 70s theme costume to line up right here. We have to show off our costumes. Come on.
Oh, first place too for the costume contest is the model.
All right, so give a hand to our participants. Looking out over all of you guys, you worked so hard on your outfits that we couldn't really. We had to give you guys a lot. So we're going to give everyone here a choice of a treat. We have ring pops, we have blow pops, we have pop rocks, we have peppermint patties. And the blow pops do have gum in them, so Logan, watch out. Of course you're going to get another chip. All right, hold that one. All right.
One more.
Do you miss one? One? No. Open. We'll give Noah. All right. So I wasn't the only one that was judging the costume. So I need Aveline to come up. Is that better? And we believe that you were our first prize And then we have Monette. You get to choose which one. Or you can choose another one in here. You want that one? Yes? All right. And then let's see. Marley. Good job. All right, so if you did not get one of the bigger prizes, I need you to come stand right over here. All right, Mr. Guidance, since you're there, you get one. Thank you, Nancy. All right, I got one more. All right, you want that one? All right. Good job.
Okay, we're going to follow along in the lineup, except there's one change. I think this one here, story time, Mika and Noah, right?
Yes.
Are going to move up into Hudson's place.
So we're swapping.
Yeah, they're swapping. But without further ado, we will have Jenny start the show with Laughter's Best Medicine.
Whenever I try to eat healthy, a chocolate bar looks at me and snickers. I signed up for an exercise class and I was told to wear loose-fitting clothing. If I had any loose clothes or fitting clothes, I would have signed up for the class. You know, I was going to quit all my bad habits for the new year. But then I remembered, nobody likes a quitter. Birthdays are good for your health. Studies show that people who have more birthdays live longer. And I believe we have a birthday here tonight. Where's Miss Renee? She's not here. Oh, she left. All right, so Lydia, where's Lydia? She's here. I saw her. Come here. And I think Bonnie is not here. But Lydia, don't you have a birthday tomorrow? Yes, and how old are you going to be? You're going to be 6. I think that we should sing happy birthday to Miss Lydia. Oh, yes. Okay. All right, are you ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lydia. Happy birthday.
Gymnast routine with no mats. It's a dangerous thing. Okay, now auction time. Pastor's not here, but I think they've got Bill in.
As your new pastor. There's going to be some change. And one of them is, during talent show, we're going to auction cool stuff up. Okay. That's right. Absolutely. But we need to know the history.
About I took a class, young class, and learned to make stitch. And that hooked me. And I got into the internet or old magazine. And I got some patterns. These are the doilies. It takes about a week or so.
Oh, wow.
So I